What is going on, everyone? It is Rob and Jonny. Welcome to episode 10 of MMArcade. Episode 10, Rob. We did it.
Mate, double digits. Look at us go. Look at me, Dad. Look at me now. You know, I'm proud to say we're in the double digits. I think it's fair to say that we are the real deal at this point.
Absolutely. I will say, we were very close missing today only because I've been having internet issues all day. Like, it would not maintain a connection for 20 minutes. I was messaging Rob throughout the day. Bro, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but touch wood, it seems to be fine.
Yeah. And, for our first double-digit episode, we got an absolutely empty week ahead of us. Like, we got an absolutely empty podcast for our double-digit celebration. But you know me, I love to yap on about absolutely nothing. So I'm sure we'll work something out.
Absolutely. I mean, like, at least we had one very exciting announcement that's close to all of us living in Australia, particularly Sydney. It's close to our hearts. Rob, UFC returns to Sydney. The UFC has organized a deal over the next 3 or 4 years, something like that. And now it's set to first return September 10th on the Sunday for UFC 293 specifically. You were there with Chris Mins at the Sydney Opera House, right? With Volk and stuff.
I was. So we did all the photo shoot and media ops with the premiere yesterday, Chris Mins. The big news dropped. UFC is coming to Sydney September 10 locally, obviously.
Yeah.
For a pay-per-view event, 193. And it is so exciting to see the UFC coming back to the Sydney. Just for one, I think we haven't had a pay-per-view event since, I think, 2011. Okay. In Sydney, that is. And we haven't. Yeah. And UFC hasn't been in Sydney since, I think, 2017. So that is. And I feel, living in Sydney as well, and, the fighters that we have out of Sydney, especially our pioneers and our leaders, leaders, like our high-ranking fighters.
Yeah.
We got Volk, we got myself, we got Ty, and we got numerous other fighters like Kulabau and Jacob Malkoon coming up through the works. Obviously, I feel like Sydney is such a massive hub of MMA talent, and for the UFC to have not been here for 5 years, it's upsetting. It's a shame. It's a shame for not only MMA fighters in Sydney, but for Sydney as a whole, because it is such a mecca. Oh, I believe, we Sydney siders are like this, but I feel like it is a mecca for Australia, like the cultural hub. It's where it's the place to be. And it is very, very exciting to have the UFC coming back after such a long hiatus from here. So, yeah,
it's very interesting though, Rob. I don't know how much you are able to talk about it, but you've got your fight upcoming, right, against Dricus du Plessis. We know that the winner of that is going to be fighting Izzy. All the articles that I saw was that Izzy is going to be headlining this event. That's obviously the idea here. Is the intention that you fight Izzy at 293 with such a short turnaround?
So
if you were to win.
Let me clarify everything. So every headline out there has put a picture of Israel and myself, UFC 293, because that's what makes headlines, especially locally in Australia.
Correct.
Okay. But that is such disrespect to the threat level that Dricus brings to the fight. Okay. I understand the amount of danger he presents to me in getting the win, in just like furthering my career and bettering who I am in the octagon. Here's a dude that everyone has already ruled out. He's a dude that has absolutely nothing to lose, and a man with nothing to lose is a scary individual. Okay. I understand this, and I'm treating it with the utmost respect and the gravity the fight deserves. I'm flogging myself day in and day out of the gym, preparing for a war, and expecting to take a war to him, expecting the war. I'm gonna live in that space. But I'm not planning past Dricus. Okay. The media is obviously pumping their headlines to get views and clicks, but
for sure.
I'm not looking past Dricus. Dricus is too dangerous. I do, though, intend to back up straight away to September. I'm not planning for a fight. So that's not me planning, okay, I'll beat Dricus first and then fight Izzy. No, I'm not worried about that. My overreaching plan is just to fight Dricus and do my best, and then, God willing, back up and fight again in September, because that way I get 2 fights this year. Because I've had such a layoff, it would mean it would be good for me, a good Christmas.
And it's very interesting as well, like you're saying that with Duplessis. I mean, very similar things about Volkanovski, because like is it the intention that he also fights at this event and he's fighting the same week as you are in Las Vegas,
Yeah, exactly. But that's the media. They're the journals. They're journos. They're the headlines. They, especially for Australian articles, they want the clicks, and to get the clicks, you put in the Australian icons, and that's what they did. I started getting messages saying, "You're running it back with Izzy. You running back." I was like, "What do you mean? Why are we forgetting about the South African dude in the way?
I fight in like 9 weeks."
Let us not forget. There's a big, staunch South African fella,
absolutely
trying to hold that. So but it is such a good thing for Sydney, for tourism, for Sydney as a whole, especially for the attention MMA, mixed martial arts, and the athletes in mixed martial arts. For Sydney, the Sydney-siders.
Yeah, and it's a long-term deal. Like, this is not going to be just a one and done thing. I think UFC Perth, the last one that took place here in Australia, was a bit of a one and done. But now this is like, no, we've planned for the next few events. You're going to keep coming back here for the next few years. So kudos to the New South Wales government for organising that, because I'll definitely be there. I know a bunch of people that will be there too.
Yeah, I know about 40 blokes have already asked me for tickets. I was like, what are you talking about? The ink hasn't dried yet. Get out of here. But I want to say, if you are a Sydney-based fighter, mixed martial artist, now's your time to hustle. Hustle harder than you ever have before, because they've said it. It's a 4-year deal. I think three big events that are going to be placed over these 4 years. Whenever a UFC event comes to a city, they try to stack the card with as many local fighters as they can, and you see that everywhere they go. Like you saw when they went to Perth, how they were absolutely pumping Jack Della and the boys. Like, obviously they try to fill it up with an Australian card, but they want local talent. And if you're a local guy looking to push pro, looking to push into UFC, now's your time to hustle. You got 4 years to make an impact, to try and get into the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're excited for UFC 293. Fingers crossed, Rob. We're looking forward to your next fight. Again, I'll be live streaming it here on the channel. But moving on now, we've got a fight night recap to do on the weekend.
We do.
We had
short one of that.
Oh, this event was so short. Like I was looking up it on Fight Pass. I think it was like less than 2 hours or something ridiculous, because we had like 5 quick finishes in the main card. It was insane. And one of them was Jairzinho Rozenstruik against Jailton Almeida. This was a very, very quick fight. Rob, talk us through this. What did you think about this finish?
Okay, so let me just say, Almeida reminds me of a Jacare. Like a young Jacare. He just reminds me of it. I don't know.
He is built, man. Jesus.
Yeah. That's how, like, he's so big and he's staunch, and the way he went for his takedown. I got to say, like, so that was the game plan all along for Almeida. He kept his hands up, and Rozenstruik, he knew what he had to do. You saw out of the gate within the first 5 seconds, he went out there trying to take his head off and then slowed down. And Rozenstruik's a scary dude when he's on the offense. But he knew this. And Almeida was like, kept his hands up, kept his composure, got up, like found his timing, and then went for the takedown. And you could see, like, when he went for the shot, he managed to wrap his hands around, like, and link his hands around his knees from such a long distance. The dude is an absolute Goliath. But took him down, went to school with him in jiu-jitsu. You could see Rozenstruik. I think his team planned to be there. Like his corner were yelling out, "Stay calm, like slow down." Like, I think they expected to be there. But Rozenstruik, honestly, when he was on his back, was looking to his corner like a deer in the headlights. What now? Sort of.
What
thing.
do I do?
Yeah, he was like looking at them so much, and I'm just like, I don't know. It was interesting to see that. He was like looking at the what now? So, anyway, Almeida literally just took him to town with his jiu-jitsu. Rozenstruik got the back, gave his back, and Almeida sunk in the choke. And that was all she wrote. But
it was very funny. The commentators were literally like predicting what would happen. And you had DC talking about it and how many fights have gone with DC doing the exact same thing. As soon as he gave his back, rear naked choke, boom, out. Yeah. So like in that position, Rob, what should he have done? Like for those of us that aren't so like, into jiu-jitsu and the kinds of movements that you need to do, what should he have done against Almeida?
Yeah, but the problem is like these are big dudes, and I'll speak about that in a minute. Don't give it back. Don't give it back. Try to keep your back. He was at the fence. Try to use the fence to get up. Try to keep the fence to your back and use it to get up. But he was just so outclassed that was not happening.
Yeah.
And then what I'll say is with the heavyweights, you see the guys that invest into wrestling, so the wrestling-based guys like your Curtis Blades, your Almeida, your Velasquez back in the day, like your Lesners, like your DCs, the guys that have wrestling always get to the top, like they without fail, because I just feel like there is such a culture, I want to say, or precedence for the bigger boys just hitting hard, which they do, but that doesn't win that all the time. That doesn't work all the time. What if the guy you're trying to hit is just a little too fast, like your Gans, or or they have good wrestling? Because the guys with the wrestling backgrounds have take down these big boys, and these big boys aren't used to being on their back on the ground. No. There's a lot of weight they've got to try and push up the fence to try to get back to standing, and it is hard. And sometimes they catch a lot of these wrestlers, but more often than not, like it is the wrestlers' playground in that division, and we're starting to really see that with Almeidas and whatnot. Like moving up in the rankings.
And now Almeida, 13 wins in a row. I mean, he is the real deal. Like they've been talking about some of his next fights. One that I saw suggested, and I want to get your thoughts on this, could he fight Tuivasa potentially in Sydney? It could be a decent fight. It could be a decent fight.
And you know what? I think the South Americans love coming here because you always see. I think the last card that was here, the headline was Fabricio Werdum. So like they love coming here, and well, who wouldn't really? but it's that would be a cool fight. If Ty wants to take, Ty 100% wants to take up on any fight, but
he's that kind of guy, man.
That would be interesting. Ty's tricky. He's got really good wrestling defense.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think it would be a good matchup. So, Almeida continuing to work his way up the rankings. Rozenstruik, he already has another fight organized, doesn't he? Crazily? I thought I saw his name pop up for something.
No. Does he?
No. There's been too much news going around at the moment. Like everything within Ngannou and then UFC Sydney. It's hard to keep up, Rob.
Yeah, I know. It's just getting flooded. And honestly, I feel like headlines are getting so clickbaity. Like more than they used to be. But they've always been bad, but more than they used to be, because it is so hard to get information. Like you got to click the article, then scroll down to the last paragraph of the article where it says, but in actuality, like they just talk about like happenstance and like maybes or what ifs. But that's the internet now. But Almeida, looking forward to seeing what he'll be doing next. But
we got a fight night this weekend. I mean, that's about it. But I think we can move on to the games news, right, Rob?
It is the fight night this weekend. It's, I don't know. What do you want me to say?
Flip a coin, and we can decide who wins. But yeah.
There are a couple banging heavy middleweights. There's some high level women fights in the main event.
Yeah.
Oh, the prelims look a bit. How you going? But
yeah,
but everybody's got to start somewhere. It's a card. If you want to watch people slug on, watch it.
Yeah.
But
interesting. Yeah, I wanted to ask you one thing before we move to gaming. Someone asked an interesting question on Twitter. Would you prefer to see, like we have now, like UFC fight nights and main UFC cards every weekend, or would you prefer to see less and higher quality fights? Because as you said, Rob, there are people that are working their way up the division that need a place to fight. And these fight nights, there are a bunch of fights that take place. That's the place for them to do it. What would you prefer to see?
No, definitely the way they're doing it. Fight nights every week. Because it is so beneficial to have them every week the way they have done. Because they have something like 600 athletes on roster.
Yeah, it's insane.
That is a crazy number of fighters. And that's jobs for 600 people. You know what I mean? Not to mention that the shows, even the fight nights, they go around the country, they go around the world, they bring in tourism and publicity to the towns. It is just a win-win.
For sure.
Fight nights are good. I've been on heaps of fight nights. Like it's part of the gig. They're sometimes better. It's better in some respects to be on a fight night than a pay-per-view event, just because of the amount of light and attention that goes onto those big cards.
Yeah, for sure. And the way I like to see it as well, like when UFC is inevitably competing with other sports as well. I mean, not like for like, but they're competing down here with the likes of rugby league and football elsewhere, and they're playing every weekend. So like, kind of have to as well to be competitive in that space. But moving on to the games news, Rob, we've got a very, very stacked, exciting week of games news. So first of all, GTA 6, literally one of the biggest franchises. I don't know how many titles GTA 5 has sold to this stage, but every week it's in the top games or selling games of the week. I
think like to today, like GTA 5 is still the top selling game today.
Every week. Like it is there. Like in Australia, we have this company that I used to work for. They release the top selling charts, and consistently in both Australia and New Zealand, you'll always see GTA. It's absolutely insane. So suffice it to say, once GTA 6 comes out and is announced, it is going to break the freaking internet. And it looks like they're gearing up potentially for GTA 6 next year. So the reason why I say this is because in a press release, Take-Two essentially shared their earnings report and was like, hintity hint, hint, we have a massive projection of money coming in 2025 and 2026. And people are essentially taking that as being like, well, what else could it be? It's probably going to be, GTA 6.
Yeah.
So
shark cards.
But the game prints money. And like, what else under their roster would bring in that kind of level of revenue that they're talking about? It has to be GTA.
It has to be. It has to be. But I've got to say, GTA 5 was amazing.
It's so good, eh?
Once I started playing it, and I don't like games generally where you can't make your own characters, where you can't just do whatever you want, sort of thing. So when I jumped into that GTA 5 and I was forced with those characters, and 3 of them at that, okay? So I find it hard enough to play any game or read any book or watch any show with more than one character. So they had me playing 3 characters. I couldn't customize or like, change their appearance or names or anything. Then they gridlocked me to the story, like the storyline, and I couldn't put it down. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. If you haven't played GTA 5, go play GTA 5 for whatever reason. Like it is so good.
Even just for the storyline, as you said, but then the game had another life because of GTA Online. Like people still playing that game to this day, and the amount of money that people spend on it is ridiculous, as you said, with shark cards. So when GTA 6 comes along, man, like it's going to be an absolute game changer.
Have you ever played GTA Online?
I've tried to get my ass handed to me, bro.
The same thing happens every time I try playing. I jump on, I try to play with my friends, I want heaps of stuff, so I end up buying heaps of shark cards, buying heaps of cars and guns, and then we just try and stab each other, and then we don't play it again for another 6 months. like that's all we do. It's the same thing as like 6 months down the line, we'll be like, hey, you want to play? Yeah, play. We'll jump on, and then within minutes, I'm trying to shake him. We have this death match that goes for a couple of hours, and then we don't touch it again for another 6 months.
Well, it sounds like you're getting a lot out of the game, right?
Well, if that's what you want.
Well, it is exciting, like that of the potential prospect that we'll be getting GTA 6 potentially next year, the year after that. Again, this is nothing confirmed, people speculating, but yeah, the game is going to be absolutely huge when it does eventually come out. But moving on, we've got some big news coming from Sony. So they have announced their first fully fledged PlayStation showcase for a while. They've had a lot of like indie ones and smaller ones and VR focused showcase recently, but this is going to be their like first fully fledged one in a long time. It's taking place on the 25th of May, 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, if that's where you are, or the 24th of May, 3 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific in the US. And it's going to take over a little bit of over an hour. And we're probably going to be seeing titles like Spider-Man 2, potentially something to do with Last of Us multiplayer, and some other exciting things that apparently we haven't heard of yet. So, Rob, it looks like PlayStation is going to be bringing the goods. Are you feeling excited? We're getting into the season where there's going to be an Xbox showcase, PlayStation, Nintendo's killing it. We're getting all the announcements soon.
Yeah, we're starting to get into that range where the games we've been following and wish listed. They're like, it's coming closer. Yeah. Everything's coming closer. Did you ever play the original, like the Spider-Man game on PS5?
So I played Miles Morales, and I've always been meaning to pick up the first Spider-Man, but I never got into it. But I will play because I love Miles Morales so much.
Dude, oh, mate, if you liked, like, the first Spider-Man was so much better than Miles Morales.
You reckon? Okay, cool.
Yeah. Like my son absolutely froths on it. It is such a good game. I didn't really understand that Miles one. Like, they had lightning and all these.
I thought it was cool. No, those powers are awesome, and I love the city, and I 100% of that game. Look, don't get me wrong, the story was nothing to write home about.
OG Spider-Man, but mate.
But Miles Morales is a cool character. So like I genuinely had fun in that game, and I know that the way that it played was very similar to the first Spider-Man. Just that the feeling of swinging, in between buildings and climbing. It's
much the same.
It's unbeaten.
The first Spider-Man. Yeah. And you know what? They brought that out. I remember back on like the PlayStation 2. Do you remember when it first came out back in the day?
Yeah.
Like that feeling of swinging through the city. I don't know.
It was so cool, bro. It's so
something
cool.
that has only been unique to that game. And it is just, you're right. It is just so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's probably going to be their headlining game because it looks to be releasing sometime this year. But what else PlayStation has? I mean, we don't really know, because they've managed to keep a lot of things secret. Yeah, like we usually get leaks, around this time, but it's happening very, very soon as well. And then obviously next month we got Xboxes and other showcases as well. So, Rob, I'm excited, man. I'm excited for what PlayStation has to offer.
I am too, mate.
But now, man, we are talking about Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So I'm going
to have to let you lead on this and just poke holes in what you're saying because I haven't had time to flick it on.
Yeah. Well, we'll first talk about the fact that it's like selling ridiculous. So Tears of the Kingdom came out. This game is literally the highest rated game on OpenCritic of all time. It is sitting at 97 out of 100 out of 77 critics, 10s out of 10s across the board. And it's already sold in its first 3 days, 10 million copies. It's actually insane. So we are going to slightly, go into our what we're watching and playing segment because for the past week, Nintendo did give us a code. So I've been playing nothing but Tears of the Kingdom. Rob, it's genuinely phenomenal. So you played Breath of the Wild, right? So you know the point of comparison.
I did. So tell me why it's better than Breath of the Wild.
So a lot of people have reservations because of like it's still a Nintendo Switch hardware. How well is it going to run? It's using the same map as Breath of the Wild, and that's how they were able to get it out relatively quickly because usually Zelda titles take ages to come out. So yeah, like some people had some, I would say, legitimate concerns, but it blew those out of the water. The main thing was Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and what it does. And I love Breath of the Wild. It was an incredible title, Game of the Year that year, right? Its game mechanics are so in depth that the things that people are creating are insane. So the scenario is you've got like a few powers. One of them you can attach things together and like create tanks and aircrafts and flying machines. And then you've got abilities which you can like rewind time. So people have been using that to like complete shrines in completely ridiculous ways. And you've got this ability is where, you know, instead of in the last game you got to fly up with a gust of wind a little bit higher. Now there's this ability where if there's a cliff and you're standing directly under it, you can use this ability to essentially jump up to the cliffside and swim through the rock, and then you'll elevate. So they're using so much different kinds of verticality because of that. They've got like this entirely new sky area and below ground, underground area to complement the main map. So it's not just the same map. There's a bunch of different stuff. But Rob, like you need to see some of the gameplay that people are coming up with and how they're completing shrines, how they're doing quests. There are so like there are games that say we're open world and there's so many ways that you can play. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is literally that. You can complete a shrine in so many different inventive ways. It's crazy. The game just provides you all these tools to be able to do that. It's so in depth. And I've only scratched the surface of it, to be honest. It's ridiculous, man.
Is it okay, couple questions. Yeah. Here we go. You're almost selling me on it. Is it a sequel to Breath of the Wild?
Yes. But I will say story-wise...
The Breath of the Wild affect the next one.
Yes, but I will say that just watch a YouTube video that recaps you on the story. I don't think you need to even have finished Breath of the Wild to be able to play Tears of the Kingdom and understand it.
Are there builds? So is it like an RPG?
No. So with an RPG, that's where the depth comes into it. The fact that you have different builds, different stats you can invest into. Tears of the Kingdom is more simple in that regard. You've got hearts that you can upgrade, stamina that you can upgrade, but the depth comes into the powers and like even the weapons that you can collect. So there's this new mechanic, again, like with the power that you can attach things, you find weapons and an item that you've just obtained from an enemy. Let's say it's a horn, right? And you can combine one of the weapons with the horn and you'll create a whole new weapon that has its own stats. And you get very inventive in that regard. So some of them, you have these long spears and then you'll add a device that shoots fire. And then you've got a stick that's like shooting fire as you swing it. There's another one where I connected a cannon to a club, and every time I swing the thing, a cannon fires from the weapon. It's insane how in depth it gets, and it's only going to get more than that as you get more weapons.
So there are no builds per se, but it's more about how you play.
Correct.
Like it's your style.
Yeah. And how inventive you are, how creative you are.
I'm 50-50 on that because I'm a bit of a build hoe. So like I love building characters, like love it. I go on websites and build D&D characters for fun. Just like I love theory crafting, that sort of stuff. Yeah. But I can live with that. But the weapons, okay? Biggest gripe in the last game. Yeah. I really liked a sword I found, and it lasted me about an hour.
Yeah. They do break, man. That is the mechanic, and I know that was another gripe that some people had about Breath of the Wild. It has been transferred over to Tears of the Kingdom, but I am for it, especially because of how they've implemented this new system, because of how creative that you can get with combining weapons with different parts. So something that breaks. Yeah, go on.
But like, I just mentioned that like there's no RPG, there's no builds. But your style of play is what kind of defines how you like your style of play. Like, so what if I want to be a spear warrior? But my spear keeps breaking, and you're forcing me to like make these other weapons on the fly. I'm losing my build identity.
Well, but like your build isn't entirely spec'd around using spears. Like you use another weapon and it's just as effective because like it's got the same power level, right? It's not like Skyrim or like an RPG where you have to use a bow and arrow because you're entirely spec'd to sneaking using a bow and arrow. It's you use whatever weapon that's at your disposal.
Yeah, but that's where the build comes in. If I'm a spear guy, I use spears.
But that's the thing. It's saying you don't have to just be a spear guy. You can be a whatever guy because we are giving you all these weapons and all these different ways of combining it. That is the beauty of Tears of the Kingdom.
I guess it's a certain code. Like I don't want to be MacGyver. Like I don't want to be walking around with some sticky tape and paper clips to make weapons on the fly. Like I want to be a two-handed swordsman. I want a two-handed swords. I want to use two-handed swords. And when there's no two-handed swords, I want to be crap because I'm upset that there's no two-handed swords around and I have to go get another one.
It's funny you mention MacGyver, man, because I will say people liked MacGyver because of how inventive he had to be to get out of the situations that he was in. So, like, taking the example of, like, the different shrines that you can go to, there is not just, like, in Breath of the Wild, more so, not entirely true, but there was, like, effectively one, maybe two ways of, like, properly completing a shrine, right? Because the powers were a little more limited. The ways that you would complete is a little more limited. But then Tears of the Kingdom, like, so long as you're creative and you know what you're doing, you can complete a shrine in a ton of different ways. I've seen people complete shrines in ways that I never would have even thought. It's just insane the amount of creativity this game gives you. And then that's just expanded upon in the open world. And I haven't even finished a boss yet. I'm just going around exploring. And I will say as well, on the Switch, for an older system, it looks amazing and it runs pretty well. Some frame drops, but I think they've nailed it with this game, man, honestly.
Okay, I'm with you. I'm still with you.
Am I selling you on it now?
No, you are. Just I like the freedom. Like I said, my favorite thing in Breath of the Wild was being able to just beeline straight for Ganondorf's castle. You know what I mean? Like having that freedom to do whatever I want. I love that. For the record, didn't like MacGyver. Okay, so
I mean, you're that's one person's opinion.
So how much of that in the game is he? I don't know. I got it. Can you play the game without weapons?
Well, I'm sure there's ways. I mean, you could build like vehicles to take care of the killing for you. Technically,
so I might. That might be how this game gets me. Okay, I might make a build that if you can't master a weapon, then master none, and I'll just be a pacifist. I love those pacifist runs in like Skyrim and thing. You know what I mean?
I will say, man, like there's unless you're like going through a dungeon, I imagine, where you kind of have to kill enemies to get through them. There's actually, unless you want to like try and get the parts that they drop to combine your weapons, and also every group of enemies that there is a chest for you to get something else cool, right? But technically, you can avoid most enemies in the game and just do your own thing. So if that's what you want to do, Tears of the Kingdom allows you to do that.
Is there base building?
No, there's building in the sense that you can build your own vehicles and stuff to get around. And yeah, actually, you know what, Rob? I will say, I don't think it saves it, but you can build your own things. But it's not quite like a Fallout 76 or something like that.
Can you buy a house?
Not that I know of so far. But I've only put like 20 hours into it.
Do you have a base at all?
No, not really. I mean, there's a place in the sky that you can go to, but there's nowhere, like you kind of like sleep at a stable or something like that. You know what I mean? Like there's no real home of operations. At least so far. I don't know. Like, cause
was there a house you could buy in Breath of the Wild?
I actually don't remember.
I want to say yes. Like I didn't go through the whole quest line, but I started a quest where there was like a house.
No, there was. You're right.
Trying to sell
I remember.
apples or some shit like that.
Yeah, there was, because you could hang up your swords and stuff. Now I very clearly remember it. And it was it was near the town that had you could dye your clothes one color, you cross the bridge, and then you'll get to the house.
Would think there would be a base of some sort in Tears of the Kingdom.
I'm sure there is.
So it's the same map, right?
Yes.
Am I right? What you said?
Yep.
So like it's the same, it's the same as Breath of the Wild, right? Same locations, right?
Same locations, but things have obviously been mixed up.
Yeah.
Like there are completely new shrines.
So why do you lose your house between games? Link fell into a little bit of gambling debt.
Well, here's the thing, Rob, right? Like, because a lot of people probably didn't buy a house. I wonder if there's a save file mechanic because there actually is a save file mechanic where your horses from the old game are transferred over. I wonder if when you get to the town where your old house was, because you're right, like I purchased the house, maybe my save file transfers over. I don't know. I haven't reached that point yet, but there is probably a house now that I remember it.
All right. Well, I was given a code and I haven't had time. The camp has been pretty busy. Busy, but I will. You've sold me enough to get in there and try a pacifist run. So I'm gonna utilize my code and get to it. So hopefully next week. Stay tuned, guys.
All right.
For obviously one that isn't in the pockets of those guys.
I'm telling you, man. If it was a game that was crap, I would say it was crap. This game is genuinely 10 out of 10. And I'm keen to see how you actually go with a pacifist run because I think it technically could be possible.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go on a Google deep dive.
Yeah, absolutely. But Rob, so obviously you've been in fight camp, you've been training. Have you been playing or watching anything?
Can I ask you a question back on
okay, go on.
Tears of the Kingdom?
Yes.
That's good?
Yeah.
Link.
Yes.
Right? Is it the same Link from all the games?
Oh, that's a whole story.
I know, because I like I said, I have played Breath of the Wild, and I didn't really understand what the hell was going on.
Okay, so in Tears of the Kingdom, it's the same Link as Breath of the Wild, right? That as much is true because it's a sequel.
But that Link is
different. So essentially, there were, and this is my rough knowledge of it. There was at one point in time where there's a timeline in Zelda, and there was a Link, and there was a Zelda, and then there will forever be, for whatever reason, it's like a prophecy or whatever, there will forever be a Zelda, a Link, and a Ganon. They're always going to be reincarnated at some point. So you've got this point in the timeline, and then it goes to a point in Ocarina of Time where it splits into 3 different timelines. One where Link dies in the Battle of Ganon, one where he survives, and another where he gets sent back into time because that was the whole mechanic of that game. And all the games are roughly split along those 3 different timelines. So every time that you play a game, they're placed along the timelines, and they're almost always a different Link, but that's been reincarnated like from the Link of old. So Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, I'm pretty sure are placed like really far away and out from all the other games in the timeline. So it's like a very old Hyrule, and there's like legacies of what used to happen in the past with the war. So it's Link, but reincarnations of Link, I think is the best answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I left that explanation more confused than when I entered it.
He keeps getting reincarnated. That's the thing. There will always be a Link and a Zelda, and that's why whenever we play the games,
it's cool. Like it's cool. I can live with that, playing a character like that. Is he always called Link? You can't rename him, can you?
No, he's always Link. There's been apparently some chatter about like either giving Zelda herself like her own game, or like maybe doing something else with a different main character, but I think they're always going to go with Link.
You got to. That's what the whole franchise is built around. But
correct.
Is Zelda? Yeah. So is Zelda's in Breath of the Wild, right?
Yes.
The princess.
Yes. Princess Zelda.
Does Zinc sunscreen? Does Link meet up with the princess?
This is kind of going spoiler territory. In the first game, obviously they do. In the second game, they start off together, and then something happens.
Are they girlfriend boyfriend?
No, they're just friends. They're just They've never really broached that. There's been theories of like Link having relationships with like this character from Ocarina of Time and stuff like that, but they've never, from my memory, have said like, oh yeah, Link and Zelda are in a relationship. That's just never been a thing. They're just companions.
Dude's been done dirty, man.
He's been put in the friend zone in 3 different
timelines. He's been reincarnated tens of millions of times to fight the hardest sorcerer in the world, the most evilest, biggest bad, and dude's stuck in the friend zone. Oh, man. Hats off to you, Link. Hats off. My guy.
That's hilarious. Well, it's a different Link, so it's a different kind of heartbreak
every
time.
Link is friend zone Link. Maybe not my one. We will see when I flick it on. You know, maybe in the next game, maybe Kingdoms Link, you know, he can kill Ganondorf but can't get past friend zone. I don't know. Let's see. We'll see.
I wonder if there could be a quest line about that in a Zelda game.
I hope so.
But I think
every game is made better with romance. Love it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Yeah, but
Love it.
that is Tears of the Kingdom. That's what I've been playing. If you haven't played it yet, like, definitely do. But I'm sure a bunch of you are already playing it. Everyone that
make sure you tell everyone to tune in next week for my review.
Absolutely.
Wholesale Bobby's reviews coming
Pacifist.
out to pacifist run, trying to get with Zelda the entire game.
You're going to struggle with that, man.
Dude,
but have you been playing or watching anything?
I have been fiddling around with Ragnarok Online. So
of course.
It's a game I played all throughout my high school years. Like it's an MMO, Korean MMO.
Yeah.
And if you know sort of thing. Like, it was a massive grindy game. So I've been playing around on my own private server.
Cool.
If you're interested in playing some Ragnarok Online, leave a comment below. And if there's enough comments, I'll link you to a Discord that you can join my server and you can come play with me.
Cool.
But that's about it, what I've been playing. I tried jumping into Divinity Original Sin 2 the other day. Have you played that game?
I have not. No, not yet.
Did I ask that last week? Probably.
I think so, probably. I think you asked about Dragon Age too. I get confused.
I've been playing like the hardest difficulties, like Tactician Honor mode, where you only get like one save. And it's hard difficulty. And I've been trying to do it solo, like Lone Wolf. It's fun. It's not that hard yet. Really. But that's about it game wise. I thinking about playing Pathfinder. I've kind of been just dabbling around until I play some Ragnarok. So the Ragnarok server I've been fiddling around with trying to put it up, but haven't had any success of yet. So, but that's about it in terms of watching. I haven't been watching too much. I've been just like streaming, obviously, the current season of anime, and there's not like they're just weekly, so they're just creeping up. There's nothing really to write home there.
So Rob, there's been an anime that like 5 people have recommended. It starts with a J. Hold up, I'm gonna pull up the comments because like literally every other comment is like, you got to play this and watch this anime. It's called like I
don't know. There's one. People keep saying you got to watch Ranking of Kings, something like that. And I've watched that. It's not that good. Oh no, I mentioned it last week about the deaf kid.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah.
Comes out so aggressive, but it wasn't that good.
Nah. I'm gonna find this anime that everyone's recommending you to watch. No,
what have you been watching? You been watching anything?
No, I've been playing. I mean, I've obviously been every episode of Demon Slayer. It's like because it comes out our time Monday morning. So before work, I wake up, I watch my Demon Slayer. They're freaking awesome. They always feel too short. Like I feel like I'm just getting into it, and they are 20 minutes long, and then the end screen comes. I'm like, for God's sake! But that's when you know that you have a good anime. Like, it's genuinely amazing.
I couldn't get into it.
Come on, Rob.
I watched like 11 episodes and still couldn't get into it. So I'm pretty sure I went past the like 3 episode mark.
Really?
I watched like 11 episodes. I told you about it. Like it was weird with his sister. It was weird.
He wasn't weird. It's friendly.
It was weird with his sister.
It
friendly.
wasn't.
Get out of here.
I
no
found
one loves
the
their sister that much.
I found the anime. I can't pronounce it. Jigo Kuraku. like about 10 different comments in the last video. Jigo Karaku, if I'm pronouncing that right.
Is it a new one?
Apparently, yeah. Because you kept talking about the current season. JIGOKURAKU.
Hold on. Don't have the best internet while we're streaming.
Well, it's called Hell's Paradise. Hell's Paradise.
Oh, yeah. I started watching that.
Okay, so so people have been asking you about it. What do you think?
I've only watched the first episode, so
okay,
it's high quality. It looks really good.
Yeah, I will watch it. For those of you in the comments, all right, thank you for suggesting it. I'm going to watch it for the next episode for sure.
It wasn't anything from the first episode only. It wasn't anything that I was like, oh, well, I can't wait got to watch the second one. So
right,
no, I just left it at that.
Yeah, but you got to.
Have you ever seen Sword Art Online?
Oh, I've heard it. Like people keep telling me to watch it. Yeah, but I haven't watched it.
When Sword Art Online first came out, I read the light novel, and it was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah,
I loved it. I recommend reading the light novel if you got to pick.
No, absolutely. That's on my list. In addition to now Hell's Paradise and still Full Metal Alchemist. It's just getting hard, and I keep wanting to play Zelda.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing though. Like, we're up to the current seasons of that anime, so it only comes out one episode a week. So I can't watch. I can recommend old anime, but I can't watch new ones. You know.
Yeah, that's fair. Plus, you're busy training, man. You know.
I am. There's not a lot of time, especially when I watch half an episode every meal.
7 minutes and drop it.
That's it. It's like, I don't know. I'm trying to look here in popular to see which one is worth recommending.
Yeah.
Like there's ones you can watch that if you got time. You got to watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood still.
I know. It's
that's
like
so much better than Demon Slayer. So much better.
I want to watch Jigo Karaku, Hell's Paradise for the people that have suggested it, and then Full Metal Alchemist is on the list.
Brotherhood's way better. Brotherhood's way better.
All right, we'll see. I trust you. I know.
Even for our commenters, you got it. They'll admit it. Brotherhood's better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give each the 3-episode treatment if I can before the next podcast.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now we're moving on to questions. All right. So we got from Daniel Lee asking, Rob, have you ever watched or read Tower of God? In my opinion, it's a great fantasy world-building series that would be right up your alley.
I did watch Tower of God.
What do you think?
It was a bit too weird for me. Like, it is. The world building's all cool, and it's all very mystical, and there's lots of mystery and like weird stuff happening. But it was almost too much of that.
Okay, fair.
Every episode left me with more questions than answers. And I understand a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
I want some answers, mate. I want some answers. I want to know how the world works. I want to know why things tick the way they do.
Wait, did you like Attack on Titan then, relatedly to that?
Until it got weird.
Okay, so now it makes complete sense why you don't like Tower of God. So it sounds like weird. Daniel, dude, I would like it.
every bloke and their mate became a Titan, and then it was all about like, oh, this guy's a spy. Oh no, wait, this guy's a spy. Oh no, wait, this guy's a spy. And it's like, come on, man, just make Eren the chosen one, eat people, defend the race, and then call it quits. No, we have to.
That's not what happens. Like you say that, but that's nowhere even close to where the series has ended up. You really should watch it, Rob. It's insane.
I watched up until there were about 10 Titans.
Like, so like the founding Titan,
the big Titan team with the big hairy ape looking one.
Yes,
and they stole one of the other Titans, and then the good guys are trying to get him back. And that's where I stopped it because it was just weird.
You were literally getting so close to like the big plot twists and losing your mind. And
really?
Plus when when the Beast Titan was introduced, that guy was so scary. That was such a good episode.
He wasn't that scary.
He was, Rob. It was not. Yeah, come on. Yeah.
It was like, who's this hairy guy and why is he hairy?
Just his face and that detail, and he would just wreck people. Like, he had full control over the other Titans, and the guy got eaten alive. Oh, that episode was insane. All right. Well, now it makes sense.
I thought it started strong and then got weird.
Fair. Well, moving on to the next question, we have Josh Thompson asking, Rob, of all your previous opponents, who would you be most happy to hang out / go for a beer with out of anyone that you fought?
Oh, maybe
it's a good question.
Till? Yeah, Darren Till. Yeah, I like him.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I like him. He seems like, I don't know, he just seems like one of the lads.
What is Darren doing nowadays?
Well, yeah, I think he left the UFC for some time off. So I think I think he's only my age, or maybe a year younger. He's only just hitting his prime. He obviously had to recalibrate himself in the game, but
there's this article from Sky Sports saying Darren Till released by UFC after 8 years, but says, quote, "I will be back." So looks like that's his intention.
Yeah,
interesting.
Probably just gotta like put the pieces back together.
Absolutely,
you can get lost in this game. The industry's hard to be. It's hard to get in, but then staying in it for any amount of time is hard, especially once you start to get like past 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. Do you remember these guys that fight? They're fighting under the lights with the highest amount of pressure in probably the highest pressure sport I reckon there is.
Yeah.
But not only that, like, life is going on around them still. Like, they still have girlfriends or wives or kids. Their kids get sick, finances, bills,
Yeah.
People cut me off in traffic like anybody else.
Yeah. yeah, for sure. Well, hopefully he's able to kind of find his way back to the UFC, because it'd be good to see him fight again. He was always entertaining too. Always liked his promos. Yeah, absolutely. Next question that we have is from Lurk asking, what is your ritual for gaming? Any snacks or drinks you like to have for a good old gaming session? What do you do before every big gaming session?
Oh, there's nothing I do, because like I leave my computer on all day, and I just
all day.
Yeah, and if I get 5 minutes, I'll walk in here and I jump on, do whatever the hell I'm doing, then hop up and walk off.
You never turn your PC off, ever?
No, not really.
What the hell, Rob? Are you serious?
Yeah, don't need to.
I swear your PC is going to explode one day. And that's a lot of electricity too.
It goes to sleep.
Yeah, but it's still... do you ever restart it at least to kind of give it that?
Yeah, when there's updates.
Oh, wow. Okay. Fair. Every night I turn off my PC. Every night.
Yeah, I don't think you need to.
Well, like to save, I know you go to sleep, but still it costs power. But so you don't have a ritual. You just go
play games.
Play.
Like I like so my Sundays when I'm having my games day, my Sunday fun days.
Oh yeah.
I just a big cup of coffee. First thing in the morning, big cup of coffee right here.
Yeah, nice.
Set myself up with a coffee, watch to play some video games. And I love coffee and games.
Fair.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. For me, like the thing that I always know I should do, I just need to like stretch and do my exercise before I sit down for gaming, because that way I know I've done what I've needed to do. Weirdly enough, like for the day, I don't feel guilty for sitting and I'm like, oh, I need to go for a run or exercise or get that out of the way, right? And like you, Rob, I like to start a bit early, because if I try and game at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., I'm asleep in my chair in 30 minutes. So, so I like to start gaming in the morning.
Afternoon.
We're getting old, Rob.
Yeah, it is. I hate playing games at night. I just don't enjoy it. Like I don't even feel like playing it. I won't even walk in here and start playing it.
For sure. I will say that's why the Switch had been a game changer for me, because being able to play in bed and just like, all right, I'm done. Quickly put it over to the side and
are
go
you
to bed.
Able to sleep like that though? Like, are you one of those dudes that just like switch off and go to bed?
Yep.
Yeah, you bastard.
My wife hates me, man, because it takes her 30, 40 minutes to get to bed. And when I'm done with whatever, watching, I know blue light doesn't matter, sounds doesn't matter. I'll watch my phone, play on the Switch. And when I'm done and I go to bed, I'm out in 2 minutes.
You're a bastard. Hate you. Like, Yeah, I've had to set up this whole nighttime schedule routine to just make sure I can fall asleep on time. So like I got to turn everything off. I got to go stretch for like an hour and a half. I got to take some mushroom extracts, which really help. I got to what else I got to do? I got to watch a specific YouTube which puts me to sleep. Like YouTube.
What YouTube is it?
So yeah, shout out to Splattercat Gaming.
Okay.
He just reviews indie games.
Cool.
And I'm interested enough to have it on in the background, but not interested enough to get invested in what I'm watching. It is like the finest line of like, it's like a wave in my brain that I have to hit to be able to like fall asleep while watching it.
It's not weird at all because I have a channel that does that exact same thing for me.
I think everyone should have one.
So my channel is, I don't know if any of you care or you, Rob, care about like space and the universe and just videos like that, but the channel's called SEA, and he just has these long videos talking about how black holes are formed and how big the universe is. And
how doesn't that
gets me sleepy.
You? Really?
I know. My wife has asked me the same question. She's like, that interests me. I'm like, it does interest me. Don't get me wrong. But for whatever reason, it just gets me sleepy. I'm just like, I just want to go to bed.
I can't do that. Because as soon as I'm interested, that's why like if he reviews a game that I'm particularly interested in, I won't watch it. I'll have to watch something else because it wakes me up. I start to wire on.
Yeah. For whatever reason, space videos don't do that to me. Yeah. Like I'm very interested in the topic, but they let me go to bed. They're my nighttime routine.
It took me 28 plus years to get to this point though, because I used to be that guy that would, go to sleep at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And sleep the whole day and then just stay up the whole night again.
No, I can't. Those days are long behind me.
Mate, they're terrible. They ruined me for years. But that's just how I was. Just stayed up playing games. That was the thing.
Yeah. Next question we have is YouTube Warrior asking, what game did you spend the most in-game money on, if any? I assume that he means like how much, like the most amount of money you've ever spent on a game.
Mm-hmm. Yourself?
I would say, this is a hard question. Probably, I prefer, to be honest, not to try to spend money in games. You know what I mean? I actually like the games that I play will be ones like I play a lot of Fallout and stuff, and you can just download mods for free and stuff like that. But the ones probably like Assassin's Creed, because they have all these cool skins and stuff that I just want. So with Valhalla, they had an in-game store, and I just wanted to buy a skin for my mount and cool armor and stuff. I would probably say that game in recent memory, anyway.
Yeah, how much?
Nothing crazy. I don't get carried away with microtransactions or anything. So we're talking about max, like, $100 max, and that's on a game that I really like. You know what I mean?
I'm a sucker for cash stores, bro.
Oh god,
I'm a sucker. So I've spent money on heaps of games. Even games I got stuck into. Remember I was talking about the Ragnarok mobile game?
Yeah.
I played that for 2 days, probably sunk $150 into it, and then realized I hated it. Like,
that's so sad though.
Yeah, dude. Like, I'm a sucker. Like, I spent hundreds of dollars on whale cards, in Megalodon cards, in bloody GTA. But I know hands down what I spent the most on, and that was Magic the Gathering. Do you ever play that? You good at card games?
I never played Magic the Gathering. I was mostly into like Yu-Gi-Oh. That was my card game, and Pokemon as well. But yeah, not Magic.
Yeah. Magic. So there's Magic the Gathering Arena, and I've probably spent about $3,000 on it, maybe.
Far out, Rob. Jesus.
Yeah,
bro.
like you got to, bro, because
I know you got to be competitive. Yeah.
Well, you want to build the decks, and then the decks require 4 of these special type. That's the one thing I hate. I don't mind buying packs, trying to get the cards, building, your wild card tokens so that you can buy the cards you want. Okay, I don't mind that. Yeah. Suck me dry for that. But I hate them bringing out new lands every freaking season. They bring out new lands like, these lands are a little bit better than your last ones. So if you want to be competitive, you need these ones. And I hate that because lands are just so stupid to begin with. And it's like It is like paying. I feel like lands are literally pay to win. Like you need to just spend heaps of money to get these lands so that you have a better chance on the draw. It is just, I hate paying for lands. Hate it.
But you did anyways, and you spent $3,000.
I did anyways.
And that's just one game. I would be genuinely curious, like the overall amount you spent on microtransactions in video games.
Mate. Yeah. I'd have to be up around the probably $10,000 mark, maybe more.
Jesus.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, we all have our vices. Like, look behind me. Look at all the merch and shit that I've bought. I've easily spent, I would probably say, like tens of thousands of dollars on like collector's editions and merchandise and stuff like that. So that's my vice. And it's going back to the same companies. So I would say that, yeah.
Yeah, there
Plus
you go.
PCs and all the game is an expensive hobby. But last question we have is from Inside Void. Rob and Jonny, what type of music are you mostly into?
Okay, I'm into probably my favorite genre is rock.
Okay,
yeah, rock and roll.
Yeah. Me, it's probably I've always been R&B, like hip hop R&B, but recently I'm really into like Afro pop. So like Jamaican, African artists, they're so cool. I've been listening to that nonstop recently. I love them, man, so much.
Fair enough.
Yeah, artists like Rema and CK, awesome.
Fair enough.
So I don't think anyone knows anything about those, but if anyone does, please shout out in the comments.
But I think that's us.
That's us. It says we got over the hour mark, but we talked for a little bit while we were recording. So hopefully we do reach an hour. But that was episode 10 of MMArcade. Rob, I think that was all right. With there being no real fights to talk about this week.
We pulled something out of a hat this week because we were like, what are we going to talk about?
I talked about Zelda for at least 20 minutes, I think.
Zelda's, yeah. But it's good, though, because you literally answered some things that hold me back from those sort of games.
All right.
Especially from the first one. So like I said, got a key. Thank you very much. Gonna get in there. Give it a whirl. Stay tuned next week for Bobby's review.
I think we're all looking forward to it. Join next week for episode 11, MMArcade. Thank you everyone for watching. Subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Peace.